All right, guys, welcome to a special edition of the Dragon's Lair, which is not on Wednesday, but because I have a special guest that's halfway across the world, and I didn't really want him to try to do an interview at, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, something like that. What time is it there now?
It's 7.
7? Okay.
Yeah, 7 in the evening.
So if I were to do it at the usual time, that would have been... Damn, that's been pretty close. I think it's... Let's see. So if I did at 7... 2 a.m. 2 a.m., yeah. So I don't think anybody does interviews at 2 a.m. Unless you're crazy. All right, so we have the Orcosaurus. Great guy. I've seen his stuff on YouTube, and also amazing VTuber, which is really cool because we don't get a lot of VTubers on the show, and I like supporting all creators. I think VTubing is a fascinating world, and so without further ado, tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, I'm the Orcosaurus. I've been a content creator for 5 years, and I've been also more or less a VTuber for 5 years. I've never shown my face. I've went through many iterations of my model. It's always been an Orc, so that's the most common denominator. And I'm on YouTube now after leaving Twitch. And what do? I don't know. I have no clue what I'm doing.
Well, you have some very spicy games you play, and you also have some, normal games you play.
Yeah.
And you do a podcast where you interview other VTubers. And
yeah.
And thank you so much, him downstairs, or I think that. I appreciate that. Yeah, so that's the tough part. So just talking a little bit about Twitch. When Twitch decided to get rid of the restreaming part, where dual streaming, that's where I bailed out on Twitch too. I mean, they changed so much, and they kept changing their decisions on everything they were doing, and the rules weren't fairly applied, in my opinion, with the way things were going on Twitch. One person could do this, and they'd get clout and get banned for a day. Another person get perma-banned. It was all over the place.
I think the biggest issue with Twitch is, as you said, they can't keep their rules straight. I think YouTube is not, let's say they are also not a saint in that regard. They are just as guilty, but that's because they moderate a lot with AI and they refuse basically to reconsider decisions the AI made a lot of the time.
That's a big problem. That's... Go ahead.
The thing that irked me the most about Twitch and why I bailed. I'm not doing this for money. Money is nice, but I don't need to have all the money in the world. Why I bailed is Twitch in that announcement, or that's a bit longer ago when it was about the 50-50 split. Twitch basically said we're in this together, and that's why we need the 50-50 split. But Twitch refuses categorically to pull their weight when it comes to an algorithm to help their creators for exposure, to do anything for their creators. You are stranded on Twitch, you don't grow on Twitch, you do not have any opportunities whatsoever on there. And we are not in this together then, because Twitch does not have growing opportunities. They want you to do the growth on other platforms and pull more people in. They let you do the legwork finding the audience for them, so they get your 50% from your split in the end that you can use the platform. In the end, you're doing more work for them than they do for you. Because just using the platform, despite streaming being a very expensive endeavor, it costs a lot of money for the platform hosting. they do not a lot for the creators to help them out. That's where I bailed.
I agree with you on that. And when I saw that they were taking more money from the affiliates as well as the partners, I was just like, you guys make a lot of money. You guys don't do data storage like YouTube does for the videos. They only stay for a couple weeks, and then they're gone. And Twitch has a hard, unless you are already popular when it first came out, or you do something that Dexerto or IGN cover, like that one thing where that lady basically had open promiscuous activity somehow with the boyfriend, and next thing you know, she exploded because outside sources, there's no growth there. And I agree with you 100% on that. You have to do something outrageous.
Yeah, I was just about to say, and that's why you get shit like getting railed on cam. I mean, I don't care about that, you know. Just fuck wherever you want, you know. But you should maybe do it on Pornhub instead, because Twitch is like a site where also like mine is frequent, so might be a wiser decision there.
OnlyFans, I heard that works too.
Yeah, exactly. OnlyFans. Hey, you have a myriad of options if you want to do that, so go ahead, do it. I will even empower you. I will cheer you on, but maybe Twitch is not the platform for it.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, there's also a very prominent VTuber that started on Chatterbait.
I'm not familiar with them.
Very big on hentai. Project Melody.
Yeah, okay.
And then when she made her debut on Twitch, it was pretty wild. I mean, they had like over 10,000 people watching. But that's another point of, this was from another platform coming over here. And, you know, of course, it has to be a different spicy. You can't be as spicy on Twitch, of course. But, you know, it was very interesting.
I think the interesting part is that I would say at this point, you can probably be a little bit spicier on Twitch than you can be on YouTube.
Yes, 100%.
Because YouTube has these like, and I'm kind of like surprised my last video is still up. I mean, I don't show anything, but it still got like, that it even got in the algorithm. Because what your audience might need to know is, you said it in the beginning, my videos are spicy. I do review porn games, so I'm gonna say that flat out. I don't show anything, but it's something I really enjoy doing, and yeah, I'm surprised the one I did, the last one I did, got as far as it did.
Eventide, I remember a guy really trying to be, there's a guy on YouTube that reviews those type of games, and it is so hard for him to be able to filter everything. He does like a 20-30 minute review on the game, and it's like he's trying to narrate stuff too, with using, you know, phrases and stuff that will bypass the YouTube censors. And Alaris has a question for you. What about porn hentai games on Switch?
I mean, they are mostly censored. You don't get any action. I talk about real stuff, like where you see everything. That's the stuff. But the funny thing is, I actually reviewed one game that's also on Steam and on GOG.com that came out on Switch. It's censored, but it came out. And when they announced the Switch port, I just dropped my review in the replies and was like, hey, if you want to know what this game is about, check out my review. It gave me a real good boost.
Yeah, not everybody's going to dive into that world, but there's always this curiosity of just exactly what is this? I mean, Eventide was actually a really good RPG for what it was. I mean, I there is some really good gems out there. You just have to depend on how sensitive you are to the subject.
Yeah, exactly. So
there's, I mean, there's some really interesting anime out there. I mean, one that I think of that's like, if you saw the uncut version, it made me go, "What the hell is Redo of Healer?"
Yeah. I mean, Redo of Healer is something that I did not enjoy as much. I would rather go with something like Interspecies Reviewers or what's that other one that I saw recently? The Immoral Guild, exactly.
Yeah, the interspecies one's a good one. But no, I was like really surprised at how raunchy that one was. It wasn't bad, but I'd rather watch some other ones personally.
Yeah, that's okay. I get that. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, but it's
I mean,
interesting.
just to say it also, not that everyone thinks I'm a perf. I just finished watching the new Gundam anime, so
I've heard that one is. I was watching It's a Gundam, and I guess I missed the controversy about the ending of Witch of Mercury, and I was like, okay, they don't need to change it if they're changing it. I guess there's outrage. I'm like, it wasn't a bad story for what it was. I mean, it's not as good in my opinion as like Gundam Wing, or even I like G Gundam, or and I'm gonna catch hell for this, but I liked Gundam Seed.
it's fine. Everyone is allowed to like shit stuff once in a while.
Yeah. I know. I was like, why do I like this one? It's not as good as Wing, but
so I personally enjoyed Witch of Mercury a lot. I think it's the most accessible of all the Gundams for the normies, so to say. But it's it's in the context of the universe and how they've built it and what came before. It is one of the weaker shows. I agree, but again, I also suck everything up that like has Gundam on it. Like it could be it could be a paperback with shit in it and just Gundam written on it, and I'd buy it. So it's okay.
I don't blame you. I like Gundam is one of my favorite ones. That's why I get excited when I see a Gundam game and then I see what it's like and I'm like, no. It's like, can we have a good Gundam game?
Have you wait? What's the name of that one? Have you played Cross Generation SD Gundam G Generation Cross Race? Have you played that one?
I don't think I have.
You should. You will love that one.
Yeah, because I've always loved Gundam. I mean, I was happy when they did a PlayStation game, and I'm blanking on the name, but it was based on Gundams. And I can't think of the damn name of the game now.
So I linked it on Discord, but it's on sale even at the moment. You might really want to check this out. It's a turn-based strategy game, so seeing you loving strategy games and with a dash of JRPG, this one is. Ooh.
I'm gonna have to check that out then.
Yeah, you need to. It's really damn good.
Him downstairs says Federation versus Xeon. Yeah, I'm blanking on that one right offhand, but I do remember. Oh, PlayStation 2. Oh man, now you guys gotta let me look this up. Let me look. PlayStation 2 Gundam games. It didn't quite have a Gundam name to it. Yeah, I'm looking. MS Saga: A New Dawn. That's what it was called. PlayStation 2, 2005. And they had like the Dark Gundam in it. They had all the original Gundam Wing suits you could find. They were like the relics of the past that you could find. They had like the Zaku's and all sorts. If you can actually find it, it's still a pretty good game. The story was really good too, and you could customize 2-year Gundams too in that one. But it's a gem. It's an old one. I just couldn't remember because it wasn't really quite a Gundam name, but a Mobile Suit Saga. Okay. So you've been on YouTube for 5 years. What is your
not entirely
content creating for 5 years, and then you came to YouTube recently. Yeah. So what is your biggest joy with YouTube and your greatest frustration?
So the greatest frustration is just that the nature of the content that I make is very risky, and you're always like teetering on the edge of channel termination, I guess, with what I do. So I guess that's a little bit of the frustration that I have, but it's a self-chosen frustration, and I have to live with that. So I could just stop covering what I do, but then again, where's the fun in that? Where's the risk in it?
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. That's definitely the kind of the hardest part with YouTube. And what you said earlier, point with the AI, it's like I cannot in my title. I play 7 Days to Die. I cannot have die in the title anymore of my description of the game. Otherwise, the AI flags it and basically demonetizes it and throws it in the we're not going to push. And I'm just like, why? It's the name of the game. Even when you have the gaming list, you toggle down to it and it's right there. I'm like, is the AI not that smart to detect that it is a game? Can't they cross-reference their whole entire Google network and like, oh, this is a game? Duh. But yeah, I get where you're coming from on that. YouTube can be very frustrating with all the censorship.
Yeah, I think the biggest frustration is just flat out the censorship that happens. I wish the apocalypse would have never taken place sometimes. And sometimes that YouTube just would clean up their act on their own and not just act before something, after something like that happened. They need to be a little bit more preemptive. They try that now. Much to the detriment of everyone who's a bit on the edgier side of content or on the more opinionated side of content, which is a shame. And but that's basically the worst thing. What I like about YouTube, and this is kind of crazy, so you have to bear with me, because I'm gonna drop a bombshell here. I think I follow this YouTuber. Maybe you've heard of him, Dark Viper AU. He has a very controversial stance on React content. Made the round of you like a year ago or something, and he once described streaming on Twitch versus streaming on YouTube. You have, when you stream on Twitch, it's an entire city all connected together. Yeah, everyone knows everyone, and it's all an in-click, and there's everyone like somehow connected to everyone. And YouTube is more like this vast ocean of islands, and those islands are the channels. And you're just on your own little island and chill there. You can cross over to the other islands if you're invited or if you go and watch a video, for example, but you don't have to. You're basically on your own. You're your own man, woman, and can do whatever you want on that platform. And as long as you adhere to the rules, obviously. And that is something where I say that appeals to me. I'm more. I wouldn't say I'm not directly a hermit. I enjoy interacting with others. I enjoy going to other people's stream, or like here coming onto your stream. I do enjoy that. That's something I really do. But in the end, content and how I view it is, you are the only one who can make your content work, and you don't need anyone else for it. And I'd rather have my own island than being a part of the fucking connected loony bin.
That's very well taken. I mean, I agree with you. YouTube is like an island with that. We all have our what we do. Like I have my, this channel, for example, is covering games, interviewing creators. I cover game news and pop culture too on our Wednesday show. But it's kind of just my own atmosphere and building my own community here. And the nice thing about it is when I work with other content creators like Captain Ruggles or yourself or anybody, we're also networking, bringing our communities to introduce each other's communities. So a lot of times we'll find that a lot of our tastes overlap, and it's a great way to have exposure and basically help each other out. There's a lot of creators out there that struggle, and I've watched several drop off. They've been on there, 2-3 years. They've tried to grow. There's a lot of things as a lot of people are trying to make it into a business, and that's like what I'm doing. If I could do talk shows 7 days a week and be able to get a studio, actual true studio set up, I would do that. I love talk shows. I love interacting with people. I love doing that type of stuff. And I think that's where a lot of the networking comes into play. But at the end of the day, when it's just my content, I have my own unique taste and take on it, just like you have your unique taste. And I like that. Versus the Twitch side where everybody's together and you just drown out.
Yeah, I mean, it's in general, I think the content creator market in 2023 is like, in general, really oversaturated. You probably know the principle of a red and blue ocean, and like the red ocean is completely oversaturated. Blue one is new and fresh, and there's opportunities there. It's like a business principle. And and generally content creation, streaming, YouTubing, everything is like a vast red ocean. Everyone is there, everyone tries it. And I think a lot of people, and this is also something I've seen over the years, I've been at it for 5 years, like I said. I will continue doing it as long as I breathe, probably because I just enjoy doing content. I've seen a lot of people quit out because after 2 years, they were still like doing shit numbers. And they were like, yeah, I thought I would be elsewhere at this time. And I'm like, dude, you're not putting in the work. You don't post on YouTube. You just sit there, stream for 8 hours on Twitch. Nothing will come of that. They don't listen when you tell them. And then they go and quit out because it's like, oh, no, I've made a full-time career streaming and no one watches me. I wonder why. There's also sometimes people sitting there in silence, saying nothing for 8 hours. Sorry.
Yeah, and
Okay.
when you get big too, it's crazy. You look at some of the content creators today that are large, like XQC. You see his content, and he's literally just watching a TV show and I'm like, what?
XQC is a I don't want to say a parasite, but I kind of want to say it. I mean, he obviously he put in the work. Otherwise, he
did.
wouldn't be as successful as he is. And I'm not really jealous of his success because I'm not somebody who's jealous of other people's success. I think they deserve it, no matter how they got there.
Mhm.
They had to be something. They had to be doing something right. But in case of X, he doesn't seem to be like a very bright person, unfortunately, sometimes. And he also seems like somebody who has a bit of an inflated ego, let's put it that way. And
yeah,
I mean, we talked about the reaction stuff earlier. You probably seen the discussion with him. His takes were horrendously bad.
yeah.
But of course, he does reaction content. What did we expect, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's a long road for all content creators. I mean, and that's the thing. That's why I tell people that want to be full-time content creators, make sure you have a full-time job first. Yeah, you're not going to be able to do like some of these guys. For example, Starfield. These guys that are actually able to sit there for 12 hours a day and play Starfield and then put out all these guides and stuff. You're not going to compete with those guys because they have a bigger following. They obviously have money backing them to be able to do it. Whereas most of us, we have our 8 to 5 job, then come home and then we try to do, 6-7 hours of content creation, whether it's editing, streaming, or all the above. Plus, there's a lot of planning that goes into everything we do. And it's difficult. But I got to give a shout out to like the Matt Cave. So he's been at it for over 2 years. And he surpassed my subs even. And I had interviewed him 2 weeks before. And I'm so proud of him. He's like over 3,000 subs now and just growing. And so the way I look at it is you are absolutely correct. You have to put in the work. You have to be persistent. You have to try new things. You have to be bold. And some point, the algorithm will catch you. And if people see your stuff and they like it, they will follow.
As long as you put in the work, the algorithm, at least on YouTube, will do its magic at one point. The big issue with the algorithm on YouTube is it doesn't know at the start who you are. And it takes a very long time to see where it can funnel you.
Yep.
That is the biggest challenge for the YouTube algorithm. Tries to get to know you at the start. That's why you don't really see anything growth-wise at first. Sometimes you hit it out of the park. That can happen too. If you got lucky at the start, but generally
most people don't get that lucky.
Yeah, the more you feed it, the better it gets to know you, the better it knows which avenue it can funnel you. It's basically, and it's also every time you post is also a lottery ticket. So,
or you do something that gets yourself really viral on X, which, yeah, I don't know if I'd want to do that.
I don't even know how you can get viral on X/Twitter. I will just call it Twitter. Sorry, I refuse to call it X.
It's the worst name. Why rebrand? I mean, I don't understand the mind of a billionaire that decides we're going to get rid of the legacy name Twitter and call it X. But when you type in the URL, it's still twitter.com. It's like...
He has a business plan, I'm sure.
One-stop shop for everything.
Yeah, I've never... I think my most successful tweet I've had was a giveaway for a Steam card, which had like 1,000 likes.
Well, of course, you're giving away free stuff. Everybody likes free stuff.
Yeah, of course. It's like, that's my prime virality there. Then again, I don't think that my content is primed for virality. It's just not.
Well,
the amount of stuff I say sometimes.
yeah, but there is some, there are some spicy content creators. I mean, we did have one I saw with as heel versus babyface. He went off on Starfield, and that thing went viral. That was literally on my X feed. Everybody talking about it. I had VTuber friends that were talking about it. I'm like, holy shit! He just had a rant, whether it was good or bad. I mean, some of the things I could understand what he was saying. Other things I'm like, I don't have an opinion anymore. I'm too old for that. But it was like, it's like, wow.
Yeah, it was basically his viral moment.
Yeah, and he grew big time from. I'm just like, holy hell! I'm like, so this is what this takes. Me going off and screaming for 2 minutes about something, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's not my and your natural just to go off like that. I mean,
No.
if you want to do that, go on, do it. And it's not me.
Yeah.
I'm not this kind of guy who just like funnels his emotion like really out. And
yeah, I can't do that either. I mean, I've had my moments on a stream with gaming with guys like, and this is the kind of crap I'm talking about that I don't like, but it's like I don't zoom in and just start screaming at the top. I can't do that. I just can't.
yeah, no. I'm just more like, please don't do this, and that's not virality,
Yeah.
Like even the please at the start. I had a little rant on stream about the black borders in Under the Waves because they had like this 16:9 aspect ratio that I really don't like that in video games because I'm playing a video game and not watch a fucking movie, so stop that, please. Yeah. And about as nasty as I can get, I don't scream at the camera to not do that. It's just goofy.
So, this is what I love about this. So, when we're talking about interviewing, we're covering a lot of the topics through natural. That's what I like about what I do on Dragon Slayer. We cover a lot of these things just through our dialogue and our ranting and banner and stuff. So, this one we haven't quite covered yet, though. What is your favorite topic you've covered on YouTube? Why? And what genre was it?
Topic. It's probably time to let the pants down, so to speak.
Whoa. This is not that kind of stream.
So, I don't know. I normally don't, but like since it's supposed to be an open and honest show, right?
Yeah.
So, I think since I'm a bit more comfortable with it right now, I'm still working on that video, but I do really like a certain art style from Japan. We call it bara. They call it something different. It's like big, burly, muscular men drawing of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing a deep dive into that. I've not covered it yet, but it's really interesting, the history about it and everything, and how it came to be and what kind of status it has in Japan. So that's going to be one of my next videos.
That'll be interesting.
And so far it's like really one of my favorite topics I have been diving into. And you can also see that a lot in furry art. If you see like these big, burly, muscular furries they draw, that's bara art, essentially.
Interesting. So there's a lot of different art styles for drawing and anime and all that in Japan. That's what I've gathered over the years.
Yeah. I mean, you see mostly the standardized art style. if you are lucky, you get really outliers like JoJo or even Witch from Mercury that look like a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Or One Piece actually is also one, has a different art style. But yeah, there is like some stuff that is like categorized or compartmentalized in certain styles because that just speaks to certain demographics, and Bara obviously to the gays. Like
Mm-hmm.
they love that. They love that up over there.
Yeah, there's if you ever played Final Fantasy 14, they have very similar to that. They have the Ara tribe, which is there's two species of Ara. They're these giant lizard people, basically. Not quite lizards, but they're more human, but they got tails, horns, and scales and stuff. And they have one that's very similar to what you described there. And it was, and it's interesting how it's very subtle in a lot of different games and stuff, especially when it comes from Japan. And you don't see a lot of that stuff, but that'll be a very interesting documentary that you're doing.
Yeah, I hope I can do it justice. So it's really still, but it's still miles away from being a video. I still have to work on that.
Oh,
but
I know how that is.
That's my favorite non-covered topic, and my favorite covered topic. I think the podcast with the other VTubers I'm doing is pretty good. We had one where we, for example, talk about how to start streaming, or just an array of topics. And I think those are really well done because we have so many different voices and people with different experience levels, and that's what makes it actually fun.
So what got you started in VTubing anyway?
Like I said, I never really wanted to show my face on stream. That was always like, it's either no cam or something else. And then someone introduced me to the concept of VTubing. And there was an app that was called FaceRig. You can't buy that one anymore. And they had an orc, and I always loved orcs. I'm a huge fan of orcs. And I was like, I can be an orc. I'm gonna be an orc. Then I was an orc.
So I take it you're big on D&D or like World of Warcraft then?
You will love neither of those.
Really? So
yes.
Lord of the Rings?
No. My orcs, and this is why I have metal at my body, come mostly from Shadowrun.
Oh, I would have never thought Shadowrun, even though that is a great game series in tabletop. I would not have thought that was where it's from. The other one I was going to say is Warhammer.
Yeah, that's the second influence, actually. So you would be spot on with that. But my main influence is probably, is actually Shadowrun 40k and a Japanese hentai orc.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. So what is your goals for the future of your channel?
To corrupt mankind.
Hey, we do that every day.
No, if you just talk about tangible goals, is after like switching platform twice now. Yeah, it was twice. Had to think. That I finally settle down. That I get a good audience. Good audience size, which would be like, I'd be happy with 5K. 5K followers and maybe like 50 viewers when I stream. I'd be happy. If I can achieve that, I'm in heaven.
Does that mean you're going to do a 24-hour stream? If that happens.
If that happens, I will do a marathon. That would be my first stream marathon. uncapped.
Oh, well, I made a very bad mistake last night, and Alaris is probably clipped it. But I said if I get 100,000 subs, I'll probably dance in the river, because they were joking about river dancing. So I'm like, why did I agree to it? But I don't know. It's better than what like Pipkin Pippa did, which is, oh, I'll do 100,000. I'll show my foot.
Didn't she also eat like a spider or something?
Oh, she did like 200,000 shaded tarantula. Yeah. I'm like, what the hell? No.
I mean, I wouldn't have an issue with that either. I'll probably just be like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So I'm sure somewhere along the line, if I ever get to 100,000, Alaris will be like, hey, remember that promise? I'll be like, oh, shit.
You can do it. I believe in you. You're gonna dance in the river.
Oh god.
Get your speedos out and river dance the shit out of that river.
Well, that is if we have any rivers. A lot of our rivers is drying up. But yeah, that was, there is some really amazing content creators I've seen out there. I mean, we just brought one, Pipping Pippa. I followed her back when she was only like 20,000 subs. And this is how it snowballs. It seems like just out of nowhere, you will explode at some point. And I just watched her numbers go from 20 to 40 to 100 and it still keeps climbing. And it's like, to me, it was amazing. But I listened to one of her streams that she did. She also caught some topics at the right time. And I think that's also a big thing. There's another one that I listen to once in a while, Ricada Law. I watched his channel. He covered a lot of the stuff with Vic Mignogna. Then he started covering a lot of trials. Rittenhouse one that was popular here in the US, then also the Depp trials. And I feel like those moments are what they capture in time and suddenly will bring more people into their community. But it's also a risky thing because then they expect that type of content all the time. And I think it's a dangerous pitfall. What do you think?
I think, this is one thing. I used to watch Ricada as well, by the way. I'm not doing it anymore because I can be asked to fire up Rumble, I guess. It's probably my biggest issue.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even like because the platform is more political right-leaning, but it's just another website and you have to go there and I don't care, it's like
I mean, I get why he did it. I mean, he had some targets on his back and people were false flagging him, and that's the danger with YouTube too. Your channel can get yeeted like that. You get the wrong people and they do a mass report on you. YouTube doesn't know how to handle it, so their AI just immediately deletes the channel. And it's like, it's like, good Lord. And that's why, in my opinion, YouTube needs a lot of work. I don't believe they should rely heavily on AI when it comes to things. They need to be able to deal with things better. But a lot of times I found that they do canned responses and they will just say, oh, well, we're standing by our decision, even though it's a decision that's not the right thing based on their rules. And it's really hard for content creators to understand any of these platforms sometimes.
Yeah, it's like we said already, it's sometimes a mess. I think YouTube is still more, I would say more, I mean, Twitch might be more open, but it's more at a whim, if that makes sense. Like, they make the decision more on a whim, and at least at YouTube, when you are at risk, like which topics are risky and whatnot. They let you know, even if you if you move through these sectors
But I
that
do
you steer
wish,
clear of certain stuff.
but I do wish they were more transparent on what caused the problem. A lot of times it's just a very broad, vague, canned response, and I see that a lot. And Roberto Blake, he's one of the guys I follow. That's a big grow your channel, really good guy and stuff. He's calling for the same thing. He said if YouTube was more transparent on what was wrong and not just a canned response, such as they had the World Guinness issue not too long ago. People were saying world records and stuff in their titles. Well, Guinness World Records was flagging them, and they were getting channel takedowns and strikes on their channel without any ability to fight back against Guinness World Records. Well, Guinness World Records finally came out and says they're looking into it. Now, if you use their logo, I understand exactly why they would strike that, because if you didn't have permission, that's copyright there. But if it's, hey, world record, fastest run in eventide or something like that, that's just a phrase, world record. We're not saying Guinness. That's the whole key. So I wish there was more transparency on that, or better tools to fight copyright claims. Like I've had several, I've won them because it was all false copyright guys trying to take money, which was funny because I don't make money on YouTube right now. All mine's through Locals. Locals is like my Patreon basically. So that's what I use, and it's just like, okay, that doesn't sound right. So I just wish we had better tools.
I think I'm with you on the better tools. I just heard from another creator who had a stalker basically, and that guy harassed him, and YouTube even refused to let the YouTuber, because the stalker wanted to extort via copyright strikes basically the address of that YouTuber. Yeah, you see the issue, right? Because you have to give your full address and everything.
Yep, I had to dox
And
myself.
And YouTube categorically refused that YouTuber the right to use his lawyer's address. It had to be him and him alone. And that is an absolute disgusting move by YouTube. If you're represented by legal counsel, your legal counsel should be able to do this. That's my opinion, at least. The other thing where I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a moment, that doesn't mean I agree with it. At least I have a reason why YouTube is so vague with why stuff happens. I think they fear that people would exploit those weaknesses if they say this is something that happened. This is why this stuff happened. That people find a way to exploit this, and they don't want that. And I don't think we all want that either. At least most legit content creators don't want that. But still, I wish they would be more upfront with why was a video taken down, why was it demonetized, why did some other stuff happen. But it's like, I think they are deliberately vague in that and give canned responses, like I said, because they want to avoid that people like go exactly to the line they can go to and don't cross it accidentally. I wish there would be clearer guidelines, because then I could also sleep easier sometimes at night.
Agreed.
But it's something that we probably and unfortunately have to live with. And another reason I think why they are deliberately vague is so they can get rid of someone who they don't like, or who is really a problem for their platform without giving many reasons. They can't just point to maybe one of their rules and say he violated or they violated that, and then just get rid of them.
Yeah.
But then, unlike Twitch, YouTube, at least I've never heard them doing that. Twitch absolutely did that.
Yeah. Twitch is notorious for that, which they'll get rid of anybody they don't like. But YouTube, it's a lot harder to get rid of somebody. They will try to make them toe the line, and sometimes that line works, sometimes it doesn't. I know there's some, when you mentioned the adpocalypse, I know one of the critters involved in that adpocalypse, and you know, they pushed the boundary a lot, but it was also a political channel. I'm not really into politics. I mean, one of the things that I've always been is I am a very big free speech advocate, but I also understand that there is also consequences for some of the things you may or may not say. But with that said in mind, I think that you should be able to be true to yourself, be able to express yourself. If you disagree with something, or you want to, you want to cover more of the spicy topics like hentai and stuff, I don't think, I think that should be in the realm. I mean, there may be a disclaimer warning that says, okay, this is only suitable for 18 on up or something, but I think YouTube as a content creator is much like Dad was just saying. I look at YouTube videos as art. We are artists. We are performers. And it's very true. So I'm going to read these two comments here that just came in. Dabble said, exactly, some look at YouTube videos as art, and others create explicit videos that are disgusting just to get looked at or copy others' work and post it. Mr. Beast stuff is a very popular thing people try to do because I think Mr. Beast is the end-all be-all, and quite frankly, I think his content isn't the greatest. He hit a good niche, and I'm proud of him. He does great work for people. He helps people, you know, but I'm not going to mirror his copy. I'm not going to also talk bad about the guy because he does a lot of great work. He's not egotistical. So, I mean, kudos to that guy. Much props to Mr. Beast. And him downstairs says, it's like any place. If you're liked, you'll be covered and protected. And if you're not liked or unknown, then it'll be harder to aspire your personal goals. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly on that. And that's one of the difficulties that I think content creators face. But there's also those that try to go the easy route and try to mirror everybody, or drama sells. Everybody loves drama. I'm not into drama. I'm 43 years old. I don't care for drama. I may express some opinions here and there, but I'm sure, Orc, that you don't like drama either. You just like doing what you want to do.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I do watch drama from the sidelines. I don't like being involved in drama. So I just shut out that stuff or try to kill it before it happens. I think the biggest drama I've been involved in was when my streaming team broke down. And by the way, if you're an aspiring content creator, just let me give you a tip. Just don't join any streaming teams. Like, it's the worst thing you can ever do. They offer you nothing, absolutely nothing you couldn't do on your own as well. So then I got that out of my system. Sorry, I am so bitter about streaming teams at this point. I was in 3 and they all went up in flames. I'm never gonna join another one again.
See, that's the thing. Streaming teams are rough. That's what I was going to ask you, if you were part of going to join a company, or if you were part of like some stream teams, because I know a lot of VTubers are always try to join these talent agencies and stuff, but the danger with that is you lose your character. I think the only one that doesn't do that's VSojo, because I saw a few of them that had left and still retain their character, their rights, and everything. But was that something you would ever consider doing?
I don't know if I would join a VTuber agency. Like, we're a streaming team, I actually mean like just a bunch of streamers getting together and trying to collaborate. And I have my own, which I really tried to run more professionally and a bit more like an agency. But obviously, we had other leaders and they had other ideas, so it was like 2v1, and it broke apart. And if I would ever join a VTuber agency, I don't think so. They had to offer me a lot of money to even consider them.
Well, yeah, and you have to give up, and a lot of those contracts you have to give up once you leave your character. And like you said, you love orcs, and you would, and see, that's like the danger. So, when you look at Phase Connect, for example, Pipkin Pippa was talking about at one time that the graduation's the saddest day for a lot of people because people don't understand what graduation means. You give up that Twitter account, you give up that. You may have your Steam, I think they let you keep your games, but you give up that character, you give up your channel, you give up everything you've worked hard for because you don't own that. The agency own that. So once that happens, you're out on your own. Now, sometimes people recognize your voice out there if you do it. Like, for example, rumor has it, Kenya from VSojo was a very prominent VTuber from another agency.
Yes.
And they recognized her voice. But thing is, I think that some way I think that's got to be emotional damaging because if you've been that VTuber for 5 years and that's your persona, that's who you are, you're giving it all up. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, I think also what Dabbles just said in chat. A lot of people, I don't think that that they tend to sell their soul, but I do honestly think that a lot of people, or especially VTubers, think when they go into one of the big like VTuber agencies that they've quote unquote made it. That's when the work starts essentially for them. And they need to, they need to build something they don't own in the end. And you can substitute them essentially. If you find somebody who sounds like Pipkin Pippa, you could technically, people will catch on at one point, obviously. Because she's not Pipkin Pip. Yeah, it's a personality in the end. But people will catch on. And but you technically could substitute them. It's the same with James Bond, for example. How many actors have played the character? In the end, if you play a character, especially a lot of VTubers play or tend to play characters. I told you before we fired up the stream, I'm somewhat of an exaggerated version of myself, but I'm still me. I'm playing me, so you can't basically play me. You'd have to know me.
Yeah.
And that's I think is something that either is very appealing to some people because I'm not playing a character, and the other thing is if you play a character, you can substitute people with their character. You just have to find the right person for it.
But it's still hard for the person. So say they wanted to leave obviously. And leave and just be free agent. They can't do that. They'd have to start from scratch, and they can't indicate that they used to be that character whatsoever. Otherwise, the agency come back and sue them to oblivion. And it's and Devil's Gaming is correct. Perfect example is Dr. Disrespect. He can never not be that character. Yeah, exactly. He's always going to be Dr. Disrespect. Yeah, when he takes the glasses off and the wig off and stuff, he's a different person, but that's that's his persona that I don't think's ever going to be replaceable. But I think that's the danger with the VTube. And also, a lot of people don't realize, they think, okay, let's give an example. Pipkin Pippa, she gets about, 2,400, 2,500 viewers at one time. That's not including super chats. So on her stream, YouTube takes 30% of super chats, and they take a percentage of ad revenue. If you're part of an agency, they also take money on top of that. So she may only be getting really 30% that's taxable after on super chats, and only 30% of the ad revenue after the agency. I don't know what their contract is, but so a lot of people that think all these VTubers, that these big numbers are rich. Not really. Not really. After the agencies take a big cut of it, but the agency also has legal teams and stuff to protect them, and they also take protection of them serious. But at the end of the day, they don't make as much as people think.
I think a lot of VTubers left recently because of that issue. A lot of Twitch VTubers especially left agencies because the 30-70 split for partners, or for some partners, was dropped entirely. Only for the biggest money makers is still there. And they left because they couldn't afford being in the agency anymore, basically. That's why a lot of them just left.
Yeah. It's
at least that's the rumor on the streets.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I don't do VTubing, but I follow a lot of VTubers because I love their art. I love what they do, just like I love what you do. And the hardest part is getting VTubers to come on the show sometimes, because I think there's a worry that flesh tubers and VTubers can't commingle, but I don't believe that. I think you just have to respect the incognito of a VTuber versus somebody like me that is actually on camera, because VTubers take their incognito very, very carefully, especially if you're an agency. You can lose your job if somebody finds out who you are, or you have those psychos, stalkers, especially that have these weird fantasies about an anime girl, and yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah, some people need to learn to chill a little bit. It's but on the other hand, the entire VTuber thing is basically anime waifus combined with idol culture. And if you know anything about idol culture in Japan or Korea, you know that has some of the most weirdest fans ever, and that doesn't really translate well also for VTubers, because I don't remember when it was. Oh yeah, exactly. It was last year on Christmas. Some VTubers announced basically that they would take off a few days over Christmas. Like, some of their fans went just ape shit. They just went completely bonkers off their rocker. What do I watch over Christmas now? How dare you? How dare you do this to me? You were supposed to spend Christmas with me, And yeah, I think these people need to learn to chill just a tiny little
dial
bit.
It down a little bit, but they get this weird thing in their head that this is my waifu, or this is my husbando, or whatever, and it's like, it's an entertainer, but they get it in their head. They get so attached to this character. If there's anything that disrupts that, they go off. I mean, so one of the running jokes that I saw that, and like you, where we were talking about drama, I sit on the sidelines and have popcorn and just watch everything, because I'm like that fly on the wall, just in pretty much every aspect, because that's also how I kind of gather news too. I don't really talk about the drama side of it, but I talk about news. But one of the flesh tubers, they call it, interviewed Pipkin Pippa, which was a really good interview and a lot of fun. Problem was, it started on X, where they were posting pictures of females saying, "Hey, guess who came to visit my house?" And they put Pipkin's bunny face on it. And eventually Pip was like, "No, don't do that. What are you doing? That's going to get me in so much trouble." And it got people going berserk. And it's like, you know, Face Connect from I guess, reached out to him and said you needed to issue an apology or something for this, and it there was a whole debacle about it. But the other thing that people are trying to explain is, here's the danger. There is a danger. You're destroying somebody's illusion, and some of these people that fall into the VTubing adoration, or almost simping, I guess you could call it, will just fly off the handle. They will just lose their crap, just like you were talking about with the Christmas thing. And you're trying to protect these VTubers, especially because there are psychopaths out there that do try to dox.
Yeah, yeah. There's some people out there, no chill, zero chill. And on every side, like people who try to dox you, and then fans that fly off the handle. It's just a weird world. I guess it's also a bit of uncharted territory. We have been having movies for 100 years now. We've been having computer games for what now, 40, 50 years also.
Yeah.
Around that time, at least the first computer games. Movies we have even longer, over 100 years actually.
Yeah, silent movies.
Yeah, this is like streaming and everything, and this video creation. I mean, it falls into movies, but or just television, something like that. But it's also uncharted territory for a lot of people, because what happened, or what still can happen, is that Joe Schmo suddenly gets famous. It doesn't happen anymore all that much, but it still can happen. And how they suddenly deal with everything that comes with that fame. You make good money off of YouTube, right? When you're in a comfortable position. But will you be able to hire a bodyguard? Probably not. So normally the studio takes care of that for the film stars. They get their bodyguard somewhere else. Some movie stars also don't have bodyguards, but you know what I mean, right? If there's like a threat, movie studios will take care of that. And we as content creators are mostly on our own. So it's also something we need to learn how to deal with.
Such as doxing, or swatting, that's another danger. I mean, I'm more at risk. I think if you're a flesh tuber, because they can get your face, but I think VTubers are just as much at risk, especially the ones that are really popular, or, you know, like Melody, Pipkin, Pippa, all those, you know, they get these weird psycho stalkers. And let's see, looking at chat real fast. Do you expect them to compensate you for your work? What am I missing there? Let's see. I'm looking at devils. It's fortunate people always be people and live off other people's fame, like John Lennon, for instance. He was literally killed by a fan. It's a new form of entertainment. I do agree that our entertainment is very much uncharted waters for both flesh tubing and VTubing. And I'm curious more about that one, if you could explain it more, because maybe... Oh, about being doxxed and protection. I really feel like doxing is a very dangerous thing, and I do feel like content creators do need, and it's for every content creator, VTubing, flesh tubing, they need more protection. we were talking about earlier, copyrights. You literally dox yourself to somebody else claiming your work. YouTube does not have an actual person, because I had a legal matter. I had a legal document for somebody and tried to give it to YouTube. Oh, you have to fight it through the other person still. We don't do any of that, but we do take fraud seriously. No, you didn't, because I had the legal document from the game company themselves saying I had exclusive permission, and this person did not own it, and it was a shell company trying to funnel money for a copyright, but literally I had to dox myself. And sometimes I do believe, and I can agree with that, I do think sometimes the platforms should have some type of way to protect people. And let's see, Hemdon says, I get it, you're investing your time, money into your content, but then when it comes down to having a business, which is what you say to yourself, then that means you have to protect it yourself. Yeah, that's content creation is really difficult, I think, as far as protection, because there's a lot of big name content creators that have been swatted multiple times, been thrown face first on the ground outside their house. And the problem with that is the laws have not caught up to that. As I was telling somebody on one of my live streams I did a while back, I think slime should be first degree attempted murder. You are using the cops.
I do have to say that I'm very, very lucky to not live in the US. So, I mean, you could potentially SWAT someone here too, but if you don't act like a complete fucking lunatic, it won't end with you getting killed, because the police over here is much more restrained with the gun usage. So
yeah, you're lucky in that regard.
Yeah, that issue for me is out of the window mostly. It's even worse here though, because technically at a certain channel size you have to actually put your address into your channel description. You're required by law.
Oh no.
Yes, you are. Because you can put down a it's required by law. Actually, they didn't think this through at all. But also every website over here has to have like a legal address in it, as long as it's hosted over here. So the people basically can write you a letter if there is something wrong with your website, or if your website is malicious or seems to be malicious, that people can just sue you. It's wild. It's not. I mean, they were thinking something about it, but since the internet is constantly evolving, this is something they actually need to rethink, but they won't. Our politicians are very slow, even slower than yours on the upkeep. So,
but I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. Are your politicians like 80 years old running the country?
No, but they are still fucking idiots, and I don't even care which party. I don't even care which party they are. They all fucking suck. I hate politicians.
I do too. But it's just funny because, you know, all these politicians, it doesn't matter what party, they're all like 80 years old. I'm like, do you guys even know how the internet runs?
No.
And then they start making rules. Like, so we had the TikTok. They were going to ban TikTok here. Instead of just a simple bill, like one page that says we're banning TikTok, they wrote like a 50-page bill that was trying to give the Department of Commerce full authoritarian power to choose what website, what product, what is allowed, what isn't allowed. You could face jail time. I'm like, this isn't what anybody asked for. What are you talking about here? And that's the mentality we have of these 80-year-olds that like they don't understand what they're doing.
We just discuss a lot and then nothing happens. It's like we discuss so much. We discuss so much and then we try to find a middle ground. And the middle ground is normally an undercooked solution nobody's satisfied with. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Could you create a PO box for it? Yes, theoretically I could, but here's the thing about PO boxes, at least over here. You can't just willy-nilly get one. You can't just roll up to your post office and say, I need a PO box. Like, you need a certain amount of letters a week to get one. It's so fucking stupid, dude. Like, it's absolutely fucking stupid. You can't even make this shit up. It's... yeah, let's not talk about it. It's like, oh, my brain sometimes in this country. But I think this is the beauty of it. Every country has that, yeah. Every country is in this like in this regard where you just say
So him downstairs says, unfortunately it's the Wild West here. I live in Texas, so definitely use the Second Amendment. Thank God I haven't got swung. Devil says, unfortunately, U.S. police is also under constant scrutiny. This is true. Regardless if they're doing a good job or not, yeah. And downstairs says, but since last year I use a virtual office address for my business, including streaming, podcasting. Yeah, that's what I want to do, is use PO Box or that. And our politicians here are polarized. Yeah, that's very true. And politicians are like car salesmen. They sell you a dream. As soon as you get off the lot, they forget to tell you and sell their snake oil to someone else. Yeah, that's facts. And Dabble says our president has a Twitter, so he's super up to speed. Cat's out of the bag on that one, buddy. It's the press secretary that posts on his Twitter. She slipped up and posted under her account something that was meant for him. So yeah, we realize it's really not him posting on Twitter. And then not a PO box, because for an LLC here in Texas, they want a physical address, so I give them a virtual one. Yeah, the biggest fear that I have in content creating is the swatting part, because we did have a death here from swatting in my town. I'm not gonna say where, but what ended up happening was the person that got swatted wasn't even the person that they were intended. It was some some idiots that were in a CS:GO or something, and one of them gave a fake address, so this guy went and doxed and swatted this guy's family, and the guy came on the front porch with lots of cops around, and he's like, oh, what the hell is going on? And a cop that claimed he was afraid for his life just opened fire, and they...
Yeah, I heard about that case. It's the one where Keemstar put that guy on drama alert and actually managed to get him caught.
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, that's the type of stuff that scares me, because you don't know the mentality of the police. And you know, my family's been in law enforcement most of my life, but I still am very leery about a lot of that stuff, because you just don't know what you're going to get. Now I've seen, like, Rekieta Law's been swatted multiple times. Luckily the cops got to the point they just started calling him and say, everything okay? And they're like, yeah, because they got used to it. I've seen Timcast, which is one of those news channels on YouTube. They've been swatted and stuff constantly, and he was talking about it yesterday, like it's been like 15 times, and I just don't feel like the punishment is enough for those that swat. Umbrella Guy, yeah, he's been swatted. Quartering,
you
was talking about, it's scary, because you just don't know what you're going to get, and you don't know the temperament. And I get that the police don't know what they're walking into either with the situation, but I feel like swatting is probably the most dangerous thing we have for as a content creator, VTubing or FleshTuber. It doesn't matter. And I wish their platforms had better protections on that stuff, but then that falls out of their realm too.
Yeah. I'm fairly certain you know Mr. Metacore.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I've heard rumors that he passed.
I just know that he stopped streaming by the end of last year, so he completely. But I'm not sure if he really passed. That would be a fucking loss, man.
That man is a legacy, an icon.
That he still gets better and actually comes back. There's still this sliver of hope. So don't please don't don't take that away from me. But he got swatted on stream too. Did you see that? How he reacted? No. So basically someone that was when he was still on his Ethan Ralph saga.
I remember the Ethan Ralph saga, but I don't remember that.
He got swatted live on stream. I was there when it was happening. He just stood up, went to the door, and told the police officers basically everything is all right, and came back and had a good laugh about it, and even showed his security footage from his cameras, and just poked fun at whoever swatted him. And after that, brought out merch, Swatty Squad. He just took an entire dump on whoever was that. Because as far as I know, there's one thing that you can do. You can inform your local police authorities that you are a streamer and that you face harassment, and people might be able to swat or might want to swat you. And then apparently they react a little bit different when they knock.
Yeah, I've heard that, but some cops still will be a little gung-ho, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is
and
something.
And Devil says, is it Keemstar that has a channel based on doing this to people? Like, he makes a living off doing this to people? No, Keemstar is more about, he covers all drama, especially content creator drama. That's really his stick. It's not really... But, no, he covered some stuff about the guy that did it, I guess. I think he even he interviewed the guy that showed no remorse, and he really didn't show remorse at all, even at the trial. So, I mean, and I'll go ahead and disclose this. Somehow he got into the county jail's internet. And he managed to tweet out something like, your God will be back soon, and I'll be out more to punish the rest of you, or some crap. And then he tweeted that out, and I'm thinking, can that guy get another 50 years in prison? Because he obviously shows no remorse for what he did. And it's like, it was ridiculous. So, I mean, and his trial was still going on at that time, too. So... I don't know. I think he got like 10 years, but 10 years doesn't seem like nothing. But yeah, it's a saying, people do that to others. But yeah, VTubers, from what I understand, do have a lot harder, especially the ladies. They have a lot harder time with it because they have stalkers. They have simps, basically, that are obsessed. I mean, I guess that's the best term for it, to describe that, for the ones that have it in their mind that this female VTuber is their wife or girlfriend, and they are so fixated on him. It's weird how people get so attached to an anime character. I mean, I get it, because like I watch anime and I like certain characters, but I'm not like that attached where it's in. I don't even know how to describe it. It's so
no, it's I think there is a very clear line of just liking a character or being a fan of a character, and then being completely obsessed with them denying reality, essentially. It's still just made up shit in the end.
Yeah,
So
we're just playing characters or we're doing shows and that's it. I mean, like or disagree with it, it's just crazy. But I understand why. I think VTubers have a much more dangerous risk, especially the females, though. And I think that's why a lot of them do agencies, is because they get that extra protection that they don't normally get with being independent.
yeah, I think so too. I think that's probably the biggest plus for an agency. I'm personally not too worried. I think if you want to find my address, you probably can't do that because of reasons. But like I said, it's wild sometimes what some people will go to. I even like I feel I have to say I feel relatively safe still in that regard, since I'm still fairly small. That is one thing, and the other thing, I do not attract an audience or a big audience from my home country. I try to go outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, I my aspirations is to grow, and I'd love to one day get the size of like Ricada, and he's a big inspiration why I like doing these talk shows. Actually, I wanted to do them for years, but I just didn't get a lot of. I regret not doing YouTube back when the day when I had the opportunity, but I found that I really love content creating in journalism, news media. I love doing that type of stuff. And Dallas says, I'm going to figure your address out and mail you some more armor.
I don't need armor.
And no, I'd like to do that, but then I would still do get-togethers and shows and stuff, like do the anime Matsuri type stuff. I'd love to do stuff like that. I like meeting new people. I like the community. I mean, so big shout out to a lot of my viewers out there. I definitely love my community. Love interacting with them all, and that's at the end of the day what I enjoy the most. Is I've met a lot of amazing people, and I get to meet amazing creators like yourself, Orc, and that's why I do what I do. I love hearing everybody's stories. Stories are so fascinating to me. I mean, everyone has a unique story. Like Thorn, who's another VTuber that just re-debuted on Twitch. They were talking about how one day during COVID, they were bored and wanted to do an online D&D and was trying to figure out what to do and decided to make a goblin character. Next thing you know, they decided to try to do VTubing and fell in love, and so that's when they became Thorn Gabo VTuber, and it was just fascinating because all they did was they really liked their goblin character and took it. Nessie, she likes content creation, and she is an elf witch, and that was pretty cool. Her story, she's always liked VTubing. She's always liked it. She's a big fan of Hololive, and so everybody has their unique stories on how they came to be, and that's what I think is really cool.
Yeah. My story is also really long. Like I said, Mixer. I started out on Mixer. I think I haven't said that. that platform. I was evicted, so to say. Went over to Twitch. The one thing I regret actually doing is that I didn't go to YouTube. immediately.
Yeah, so funny fact, I started YouTube back in I think 2014. I was posting my strategy games. I was playing Nobunaga's Ambition, which is it's a strategy game by Koei Tecmo, and I always loved Japanese and Chinese history. And they also did games like Genghis Khan and stuff. So I've always did that. I posted a lot, did a lot of videos. I was doing a series, and just like, oh, I didn't think you could make any money on this stuff. I was like, whatever. I was like up to 140 subs, unknowing that I was up to that much. People were enjoying the series. I think I posted like 50 episodes. That's back when Let's Plays were popular. And, you know, it was just crazy because I think to myself, back in 2014, I was unemployed. I just got out of college in 2011, and I was still trying to find work. And I was thinking to myself, man, back then, it was not as saturated. People could just take off. And I was like, man, if I could go back in time, I would have kicked myself and said, you got all this free time. You're trying to find work post-college. Do content creation while you're trying to find a job. Who knows? Those 3 years could have took off, and I wouldn't even need a full-time job.
Yeah. I mean, I was the same. I wanted to get into content creation as early as 2012. I always seen YouTubers and were like, oh yeah, this is awesome. But I just lacked the dedication and skills essentially to do anything. I didn't even know how to record game footage. I think I uploaded my first Let's Play. It was a Let's Play also. I think it was 2012, yeah. And I somehow recorded it. I talked into a microphone. It was awful. It doesn't exist anymore. But I thought I should have looked more into it. I could have made it bigger. But those regrets is something where I say I'm gonna leave that firmly in the past and just move on now and try to find my footing, I guess. I still haven't really found. I think video-wise I'm fine, like with the spicy stuff. I might mix some horror into it because I'm also a huge horror nut.
Phasmophobia?
Not a fan of Phasmophobia.
Really?
I'm more
as popular as that one is. Wow.
No. I'd rather play some Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, so you're more into the Dead by Daylight type then too.
I'm also not a big Dead by Daylight fan, but Texas does a few things differently that really irked me on Dead by Daylight. So,
you know, the one game that I wanted to play that I thought was fun, and this is where I discovered how much fun content creating was with collabing, was Friday the 13th, where people could play Jason. You'd shit talk Jason the entire time. Oh man, I missed that game.
I had a friend, another VTuber actually, exactly on Mixer, and we would like every Thursday play exactly that game together. Yeah. Mixer had this amazing feature where you could co-stream, and it really showed both screens at the same time in your window. And it was so good because you saw both people at the same time on the screen. And we were like two really big, outrageous personalities, and we were just bickering back and forth. We would gather hundreds of viewers. Like at our high point during that co-stream, we had like 250 viewers on Mixer. I've never gotten back to those heights, but it's good memories. I'm not bitter that I don't have it anymore, but it's good memories.
Well, Mixer had a good opportunity, but I think they overextended themselves by bringing in all these high names, thinking that they would get all this. I think it's the same thing with Kick. I think Kick's overstated too. I mean, Kick's sponsored back by a lot of money, But the thing is, they're trying to draw people there by paying all these high dollar content creators to go over to Kick. And yeah. And yes, I think it ends Friday 13th does end in December, but I didn't want to justify spending money just to play it for a couple months and then it's gone. And yeah, I've heard that it's a Hackersville game now, but it would still be fun if like get 8 people together from your just community and play that type of game. That type of game was fun. I wish there was more like that one, especially because that one just, I don't know, it just had a lot of fun to it. And
it was something special. Because the game was actually not really finished.
yeah.
I think the combination of absolute freaking jank and the Friday the 13th license is just hammered something different home, I guess. It clicked with so many people, which is surprising again because the game is actually not good from a technical perspective.
But it was just fun. Jumping through windows and calling each other, calling Jason names and running through there and stuff. And
it was, yeah,
just doing stupid stuff.
Yeah, it was one of the really, really, really rare cases where a game transcended its own technical ineptitude and became basically a B movie.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was just, and so many people had fun with that. I remember some of the content creators, they would like, no, hey, go away now, and they'd run circles around each other around the house or whatever, and it was always silly in my opinion, but the people made it so much fun, and everybody bantering back and forth. Like Dead by Daylight, there's no talking in it, really. I mean, you could all be on Discord at the same time, but there's something like Dead by Daylight just didn't have the same appeal. I mean, especially because of the whole, like, there's hook camping and all this other stuff. It just, I don't know, it just didn't have the same feeling. Because also, you couldn't fight in Dead by Daylight, you couldn't fight the killer back. You can use a flashlight, and you can knock stuff down and block their way. But at least in Friday the 13th, you could knock Jason down or whatever. And I thought that was fun. And Ken Monster says, it's janky and campy AF, but I love it. It's like Pan Express. It's garbage, but you love the orange. Yeah, Pan Express is very, very good. But yeah, I definitely agree on that. It was, that's a treasure. I'm going to have to look in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, though, one. I saw that one come out, but you know, it's amazing on YouTube. So here's something too. I'm not sure if you knew about this, or titles can get it throttled too. So like I play a lot of the zombie game survival, especially now that Darkness Falls came out. It's a mod by Kane that actually fixes the game, sadly. But 7 Days to Die. If I put die in the title of the description, even though I'm describing it, yeah, they won't do that. If you talk about anything with like guns or there's just certain keywords and it'll just kick the video out. There was one that Ruggles was talking about it. Something to do with the keyword like Christian or something was, and they didn't understand the context of it, but they took that and flagged that, so we had to take that out. And one of my guys, Stone, says, so what happens if your name actually happens to be Christian? I'm like, well, I guess you're banned on YouTube.
Yes.
That's like,
it's these decisions that I know where they're coming from, but they're like really not. It's weird. It's so weird. I know exactly why they do what they do, and I know exactly where this is coming from. But it's not a good idea, and somebody should tell YouTube.
Yeah, and I think that you're right, though. The apocalypse did scare them. And then their constant battles in court right now with our government. Plus, I imagine they have to go to Europe and deal with a lot of the European courts too with stuff. And I imagine that they're under a lot of pressure that they have to literally sit there and try to figure out what works, what isn't, what's safe, what isn't. I think the only reason why Rumble has gotten away with what they have is because they're only in the United States, and so they don't have to follow any European laws or other jurisdictions, and they're not really being hassled by the courts. Now, granted, part of the reason YouTube gets hassled, I think, is because their parent company is Google, which is the largest search engine and everything in the world. So,
I think it's also due to the size, because Rumble is like negligible in terms of size compared to YouTube, and YouTube is just gigantic. And as you said, the other thing is YouTube has also to fight with. I mean, we have this really, really fucking idiotic NetzDG NetzDG law, it's called, where like publishers or essentially social media platforms, so also YouTube, are held liable for shit people post, especially when it comes to this is a thing here. It's not like the US. it's not like the US. Where they are held liable if somebody, for example, posts hate speech or Nazi imagery or whatever. They have to block that in my region, at least, or take it down.
Wow.
Yeah. And otherwise they can be sued up to like 30 million euros, whatever. It's pretty high.
So that, so that explains why probably that YouTube is also under a lot more pressure when it comes to censorship, whether we like it or not. It's a lot of the other foreign laws outside the US. And a lot of people forget that their US is not even their biggest customer. I mean, I think the biggest region for YouTube is India. I think then it's Europe and then the United States. I think we're just a small dog in the whole scheme of things.
You're right with India, and you know why that is?
I know they have a YouTube India there, but
India is, so here's the thing. You know that India and China don't like each other, to put it mildly.
Yeah, there's always political tensions there.
Yeah, and so India, in their endless wisdom, they banned TikTok because it's Chinese spyware.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, they don't have TikTok there. And so YouTube, why do you think YouTube pushes shorts as much as they do? They have an entire fucking subcontinent for themselves.
You know, I didn't think about that. That would make sense. Why? Because that's a whole new massive market for shorts in just one area. Because I think everywhere else in the world has TikTok. Granted, I think TikTok's an abomination, but, you know, that would explain a lot.
Yeah, and that's why they want to push TikTok as hard as they do.
Yeah, I know, like Mr. Beast.
Go ahead. Yeah. They want to capture the Indian market. That's all. They know they have free reigns with shorts there, and their only competitor there, again, I think, is Instagram. And Instagram will just shit. Sorry. It's not even comparable to TikTok or YouTube.
Well, that's meta in general. I don't think Zuckerberg's doing too good with Facebook or Instagram or whatever else they're using anymore. It's a garbage system.
I'm gonna defend the Zuck here for 1 second. Since this week I got an Oculus Quest 2. And that shit is amazing. I will give him that. VR is great. The rest is dog shit.
Yeah. But that, yeah, I'm glad you said that. That makes a lot more sense then. I knew that. It's like Roberta Blake was talking about on Twitter that a lot of people don't realize US is not the biggest share for YouTube, and it was India was like number one, but I didn't realize that part of reason why shorts got pushed so much. And it makes a lot more sense now. It's a massive market share that's open to make a lot of money off of, especially when you look at that. So that's good to know. So I know you're gonna have to get ready to do your stream, and I really appreciate you. I'm gonna look for something here real fast, make sure I covered everything. And Orc, you have been fantastic. I have definitely enjoyed having you on the show. I've also enjoyed the chat today. There was a lot of great questions and comments, and it was nice also to meet you to him downstairs. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm guessing that's what it is. I'm trying to. And so anything that you'd like to share with your viewers today regarding your channel?
So my channel is a lot about streaming. I actually stream twice a week. I stream Friday and Saturdays. Saturdays in 15 minutes. And Fridays, it's 12 p.m. EST. It's always the same time. So if you want to hop over and check me out, I play a wide variety of games. I think a too wide variety, but I just play whatever tickles my pickle or something like that. And when it comes to video content, I'm very spicy, so be aware of that if you click on my videos. Other than that, I would love to see some of you there. If not, that's also okay. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And subscribe to Kai. He's awesome.
I appreciate that, brother. And we'll definitely have you on a show again. I definitely really, really enjoyed this. I just got to get used to doing it early in the morning. I'm not used to this anymore. But I have to get used to that because there's another content creator I'm trying to interview, but they're in South Africa. So I think it's about 7 hours too. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to try to say, hey, would you get up at 3 a.m. to do an interview? Like, nah. But anyway, gang, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. That way, Orc has time to prepare for his stream. Thank you all. Don't forget to smash that like button if you haven't yet. And I will be doing my usual streams later today. I might take a little bit of time off this afternoon, spend it with family, be relaxed, and then we'll be back to 7 days tonight and some other stuff. And definitely check out the Orcosaurus, especially his content he's streaming. He's a riot, and I definitely have enjoyed it while I've been at work. So, as sometimes I don't like listening to political podcasts, so I like entertainment. All right.